folks. Welcome to the special edition of HubSpot TV. Mike and I are here with someone very special.
Yep.
Where
is he? I don't know who. Oh, somewhere over there.
@bizinboston is the founder of Twitter. Andy, co-founder of Twitter, and happened to be visiting Boston for the week, and we used Twitter and our wily ways to convince him to come in and visit us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for your interest.
Anytime. We are big fans of Twitter, as you can see. We even have custom nameplates. Oh. They're pretty fancy.
Wow. That's pretty good.
It's tie-in stuff.
So, not only are you the co-founder of Twitter, you also did work on Blogger.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit about blogs versus Twitter and how you see them evolving differently and where you see them going?
Sure. I think Twitter, microblogging is kind of a use case. It's not, I wouldn't call all of Twitter a microblogging service because I think of it more as very simply as a messaging service, you know. And blogging, I think, is still about, sharing your life publicly and opening up, and I think that's the kind of the important thing about both of these mediums, as well as MySpace, Facebook, Flickr, everything. I think people are really moving their communication into an open format, which is really interesting.
And so, do you think? Do you think Twitter will end up replacing blogs, or is it a supplement? Because there's some similarities, there's some differences too.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Okay.
I still think some people want that longer format. I think Twitter is great when you just want to craft a quick note and maybe put a link in there, and very often those links are 2 blogs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a complementarity there for sure. And congratulations today, by the way, on the OPO. The Oprah public offering.
Yeah. Yeah, that was amazing. That
was awesome. Unbelievable.
I wanted to know, well, first of all, on the OPO, do you think that it'll ultimately be a landmark event in Twitter's development?
It probably will be. I think we've seen so many of those. We've seen. It feels like every other week there's something. Back in the day it was South by Southwest 2007, and that was huge for us. And then every time there was sort of a big world event, like the Mumbai terrorist attacks, or when the plane landed in the Hudson, or anything, an earthquake, wildfires, whatever it is. There was always sort of Twitter was part of the story somehow, and it always kind of brought more attention to Twitter. And I think spending an hour with Oprah talking about Twitter is going to be one of those things as well.
Were you at your computer this morning, like watching the servers and the numbers go to see how it jumped, or are you beyond that?
Well, I think hopefully we're beyond that. I think the guys were definitely like, okay, Ev's going on Oprah, let's double check everything and make sure it all goes smoothly, which it did. Ev texted me a little while ago and he said it went really well. But we are kind of beyond that point. We're more at a point now where we've been able to successfully break up Twitter into a lot of subsystems, so that if something breaks, it's just that one thing that's broken. There's still a few parts of the overall system that touch a lot more than just that one subsystem, but yeah, we're to the point now where for traffic to really register in any meaningful kind of spike, it has to be a real global event, like Obama being elected president or something like that.
It was a huge event for Twitter.
Yeah, that was big for us.
Right.
So in the Ashton Kutcher CNN Race to a Million, were you cheering for one of them?
I think I was cheering for both of them. The CNN thing is interesting just because I think that's a great account. You had to vote for Ashton though because he was so passionate about it. I watched this video that he was doing as he was getting to. He was like so intense and he was so excited about it.
He was almost as excited as I was when you just followed me a few minutes ago.
Totally true. Totally true.
Almost, not quite.
Almost
Ashton
as excited. So a lot of your jobs, because with Blogger and lots of other things you've done, have been around kind of managing and growing a community. So any advice for other marketers out there about how to manage and grow a community? Because I think you've done a very successful job of that. Yeah,
it's interesting because I think these tools are so broad, including Zanga, which is another startup that I did. They're so broad that what ends up happening is many communities form there. So I think if there is a community for Twitter, I would think maybe that it's the developer community, the people that are building all the great tools that TwitPic and Twitter Grader, like you were talking about, all these different tools. I wouldn't say that sort of everyone who uses the service, everyone is a community. Just like a city, there are all these different communities. But I think the key to that sort of stuff is just listening. You guys do it really well. You're just paying attention. engaging. I mean, even a little bit of that goes such a long way. Some of these bigger companies are realizing, like JetBlue and Comcast, you don't have to necessarily engage with everybody, but if you just occasionally engage, people are like, hey, there's somebody working there who's actually, paying attention. And I think, just being part of the conversation.
I think it's a great way to add personality to your corporate brand.
The other thing is to just really be passionate, really actually care about what you're.
Yeah.
That does the work for you. You don't have to. Then you're not really trying because you're just. That was our problem really when we started Odeo, was that it was this great product and we thought it had a great future, but we weren't actually using it. And and that ultimately, and that led to us sort of building Twitter on the side, which was great. And you have to also be willing to follow those kind of hunches as well. But the idea is to just love, totally love what you're into, and then the rest is easy. Yeah. It's like you're not really working, you're playing.
Cool. Absolutely.
Cool. You want to wrap up with the kind of business question?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in that you talked a little bit about Twitter and brands and JetBlue.
Right.
How do you think people and businesses specifically should be using Twitter to manage their community?
Well, what we've been doing is kind of just watching what they are doing and trying to figure out which ones are doing a really great job. And I think the ones that are really standing out are the ones that are just kind of using Twitter in this hybrid way as a customer service / marketing tool. So JetBlue, for example, puts out like travel tips.
Yep.
But then they also will answer questions about flights or things like that. And so I think sort of mixing it up like that is a really good way a really good approach, especially now that we don't really know what the correct way to do it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until we know exactly what that is, I think the best thing to do is a little bit of variety.
That's excellent. Thank you so much for
Thanks
joining
a lot.
us.
Really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.